So for this video, I'm taking a look at some new games that have just come out, plus those that are coming out in the very near future. Games that have released recently, so you can play something today, and these could be on the Xbox store or a part of Game Pass, which of course I'll let you know which is which. But here I take a look at what's coming out soon as well, so games you can look forward to playing in the near future. And all of these games range from the big AAA releases to others which have made the jump over from other consoles for the first time. But please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment and share it around, plus hit the bell icon for notifications, and all of these really help the channel grow. Plus there is a link to the Discord in the description to talk everything Xbox and gaming. But now let's check out the games. So for number 10, it's Hood, Outlaws and Legends, and in this third-person multiplayer stealth game, just looking at it gives me vibes of the Thief series, the good Thief games, not so much the last one from 2014, so you may want to keep an eye on this if you even have a passing interest in that, well, really excellent series that needs to come back. But as I mentioned, this is a multiplayer stealth game where you try and infiltrate a vault and go head to head with another team as you both try and steal some treasure. So that means it's all about co-op, so it's your team against theirs. But characters also have different weapons that they can use to engage enemies with, plus each character also has different abilities to each other. So depending on which characters you have in your squad will determine which skills you have at your disposal and what you can do in order to progress. Players will earn gold as well by finishing the mission, but the vault, guards and patrols will also change on another playthrough to keep things fresh. So if this all sounds good and looks intriguing, then you won't have to wait long to check this out. Next at number 9 is Wild at Heart, a charming indie game, and just watching the footage will give you an idea of whether it's something you'll enjoy. But as the ID at Xbox Showcase showed, there are a ton of great looking and interesting smaller games that are coming out over the coming years, but this one you can look forward to playing later this month. This follows two children who venture into the woods, but it isn't the normal woods as we are accustomed to, as this is almost another place entirely, where there are supernatural creatures and other characters you'll meet on your journey. This gives me that feeling or idea that you're almost playing through a child's imagination, where everything is just a little bit twisted and surreal. But players will also get to solve puzzles as they collect items and battle enemies. And then we also must contend with how things can differ and change as nighttime rolls in. There is a lot of style with this one, and indie games have come a long way over the years, offering gorgeous designs and characters and story that compete with games that cost far more to make. Remember this one. Then at number 8 is Destroy All Humans. This is a remaster of the original 2005 game, so expect a big visual upgrade to bring it up to more modern standards. And as a remaster, it does a great job in keeping what made the original a bit of a cult classic, whilst retaining its visual style and just bumping up everything in terms of quality of textures, resolution and performance. This has now been added to Game Pass as well, so you can play this right now, and it's worthwhile putting in some time to discover why a lot of people really enjoyed the game, plus the humour that goes along with it, and seeing if that actually stands up over 15 years later. You play as Crypto, and you're tasked with gathering DNA on Earth in order to save your race, but it's the setting of 1959 and how it blends its humour, action and infuses that look and feel of the old sci-fi movies and TV shows from the 1950s. It wasn't a game that blew me away either when it first released, or even with the remaster, but there is fun to be had here, and the fact it's on Game Pass, it's definitely worth checking out. And at number 7 is Rust, and this has been in early access on PC, well, since the Xbox One launched, and it finally got its full release a few years ago. But now it comes over onto the consoles with Xbox and PlayStation releases, and I'm interested to see if it can find the same success and a healthy player base, as a game such as this is usually most popular on the PC. So Rust is an online multiplayer survival game where players are let loose in this open world, and where they must contend with the wildlife that can hunt them down and kill them, but the bulk of the gameplay and time spent will be simply surviving, but managing your thirst and hunger, for example, and you'll also be building bases to try and maximize how long you can survive here. Plus you'll also be able to group up with other players by joining a clan and going on raids. Plus of course it will also increase your chances in surviving within the game, which is difficult and which will also no doubt turn some players away, whilst others revel in this often brutal world. It isn't a game for everyone, but it's good to see it finally making its way over onto the consoles. Coming in at number 6 is MLB The Show, and the fact that this Sony-made game is showing up on Xbox consoles is pretty incredible, but MLB wanted this across more systems, and now Xbox owners pretty much have the best baseball game out there for those looking for authenticity and a game that can recreate the sport. And that can be by either having the game play out like the actual sport does, or tweaking some options so games are quicker. And this is my first time playing the game and the series, and granted, I'm not the biggest baseball fan and couldn't tell you any of the players, but I did watch the Arizona Diamondbacks and the LA Dodgers when they came to Australia a number of years ago. But whether pitching or batting, MLB The Show does provide a lot of fun, even if you don't follow the sport, and on higher difficulty settings, it can be very challenging. But no matter how you play it, hitting a home run or making the batter strike out, plus adding in all of the commentary and broadcast-like details, which makes it feel like you're watching the real thing, it all adds to delivering a quality game, and this is on Game Pass, so maybe give it a try. At number 5 is Second Extinction, but this one is in game preview at the moment, so don't expect a fully finished game, and that goes for the content that you can play through, or whether or not you run into any bugs, freezes or glitches. But considering full-priced non-preview game releases these days, released that way sometimes, it seems to be a common thing anyway. I wouldn't say head into this one expecting some great story or a lot of depth in its gameplay, but you'll be landing back on Earth from space as you try and absolutely kill every dinosaur in sight, and these range from the slow but heavy hitting, and also the quick and nimble that can jump towards you and cover quite a bit of distance so quickly. So you choose one of 5 character classes, which also determines the weapons you'll have. So you have your more tank-like ones, or coming equipped with long-range weapons or grenade launchers, and you can either head in solo or with a team of 3. And if you do play solo, then expected challenge is you can quickly become overwhelmed by the enemies, and you'll constantly need to be on the move to avoid any attacks whilst you dish out the most damage you can. You'll also be collecting resources to upgrade weapons as you level up as well. But how much time you put into this game will be determined by how much you like the gunplay, which is quite good, and the gameplay loop. But the full game does need more content. For number 4 we have Biomutant, and this game has really flown under the radar for years and often made me think whether it would even come out or not. But thankfully, it's almost here, bringing with it its own unique look, with players like myself still asking how it's all going to work together. So Biomutant is an action role-playing game set in an open world, and players will start out by creating their playable character, where you can tweak certain physical characteristics which will impact how you play, but the extent to how much it affects gameplay, we will have to wait and see. But you'll also have access to a number of weapons including guns, and these can be upgraded and changed by collecting parts, and hopefully this crafting mechanic is versatile enough to create some really unique weapons that can change up the gameplay, as that could lead to replayability and experimentation. There will be a number of vehicles which can be taken control of, plus you'll be able to change body parts due to them being mechanical, and these, for example, will allow you to explore new areas of the world. Like I said, Biomutant hasn't had a lot of attention since it was first announced, but it's almost here, and I'm hoping it really delivers something special. And at number 3 is Judgment, the Yakuza series spin-off that I originally played on the PlayStation a couple of years ago, and it's awesome to see this come over to the Xbox, and even at a more budget price as well. But I'd be confident in saying that this will eventually find its way onto Game Pass like the rest of the series, but don't let that stop you buying it, as it's definitely worth the price if it looks like something that appeals to you. There is a lengthy campaign here with an excellent story attached, with some fantastic characters as well. And then there's the weirder side of the game, with some of the missions and side quests which you really don't see often outside of the series and Japanese games, giving unique and strange missions that do nothing but add to what makes Judgment and the Yakuza games so awesome. Running at 4K 60 frames a second just adds an extra layer of polish on an already fantastic game, and now more people get to experience it. If you're after a story-driven game where you genuinely care about what's going on and want to see how everything ends, then check out Judgment. If you're still unsure, then try out the Yakuza series on Game Pass. For number 2, it's Resident Evil Village, and I've mentioned this before that I'm not the hugest Resident Evil fan out there. I do like the series and have played most of the mainline games, from the beloved Resident Evil 2 and the often maligned 5th and 6th games in the series, but when it comes to myself, Resident Evil 4 and 7 are my favourites, especially the latter, as RE7 took the creepy mansion and freaks that have been done so much and just nailed the hell out of it. And the first person view for me just adds to the tension and atmosphere. You feel more helpless than other games, and Resident Evil Village looks like it's going to deliver something similar, whereby it takes that creepy house / mansion vibe and then extends it to take place within an entire village. And apart from the footage that you're seeing on the screen from the demo, I personally don't want to know pretty much anything to do with the story or how things are meant to play out, as I want to find out everything for myself. In the dark, headphones on, and see if it can live up to what I enjoyed so much about the 7th game. A new Resident Evil doesn't come around all too often, but I'm really looking forward to this one. And at number 1, I can't go past Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and considering I feel the original trilogy already has legendary status, I'm just wanting this to up the visuals and performance, just making the awesomely fantastic original Mass Effect trilogy just that much better. With most of the work being done to the first game, and really that's the one that required the most updating, as it could really chug and look a little average back on the Xbox 360. So I'll mainly be picking it up to experience a better version of the first game and just to have it in the collection, as I only went back and replayed the original trilogy last year. But if you've never played the series at all, then maybe it's time to go with the Legendary Edition so it can bring it up to more modern standards, as when it comes to story, universe and characters, Mass Effect is right up the top of gaming for myself, and it's there with only 1 or 2 other games and series. I think I mentioned it in one of my very first videos that I ever did, but the Mass Effect series wasn't just me playing some games. No, the Mass Effect series is the reason I play games. It had everything I wanted and more. Mass Effect is video game royalty for myself, and I hope even more players, both young and old, get to experience what makes the series so amazing. So there's some games you can look forward to and that are coming soon, but also some other great ones which you can check out maybe before those games hit. Some are on Game Pass and some are at a cheaper price, but there's a lot here to enjoy. But please give the video a thumbs up, share it, subscribe and leave a comment telling me what you think of the games and which ones you're definitely picking up. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I post new videos, and check the description for a link to the Discord to discuss everything Xbox and gaming, and I'll see you on the next video.